Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm Steve Kim from the TV4 UCN Live Studios in El Segundo, California, and we are back in the Boom Boom Room. Yes, Ray Mancini is back in town from Youngstown, Ohio. How's the weather in Youngstown?
Oh, man, I tell you, it snowed about 3 weeks ago. That's all you need to know. It's been bad, but we had 10 straight days of rain when I left on Monday.
Yeah.
So, but they say sunshine, blue skies for soon on the near horizon, whatever that is.
Yeah, well, Ray, I know you still keep in touch with boxing. We miss our chats with you.
Yeah.
We are back to the big news this past weekend. Let's go to the fight first. Canelo Alvarez, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. was supposed to be a Mexican war. I think fights against piñatas at birthday parties in East LA weren't as one-sided as this. How embarrassing was Chavez Jr.? I mean, what a non-effort.
It was just that it was a non-effort. It's a perfect way. He just was in there doing absolutely nothing. Nothing. And the funny thing is, Canelo would drop his hands, and Chavez Jr. has a pretty good jab. Yeah. If you know, he has a pretty good jab. And he wouldn't throw it. And I kept saying, why isn't he breaking it off? Why won't he throw it? So, people said to me, do you think there was, payoff? I said, no. What I think, and this is what my thing, I could be completely wrong. That event became so huge, not only in Mexico, but nationally, because the winner, if Canelo won, he was going to fight Triple G. But in reality, if Chavez won, he was going to have to fight Triple G.
Yeah.
So, to me, he and his father, obviously, his father, one of the toughest guys mentally, people don't understand how tough mentally you have to be as a fighter. His father's obviously one of the greatest all-time fighters, toughest mentally. This kid don't have that mentality. So to me, and this is my thoughts, is that this kid said, if I beat Canelo, or I got to go to Triple G, I don't want that fight. So a non-effort of doing nothing.
So you're saying that he was afraid of success because of what might lay ahead. I got a different theory.
Yes.
I think they knew what they were doing. People say, was it a fixed fight? No, I call it great matchmaking. First of all, Chavez has been a part-time fighter for the last 5 years. When I saw him at the weigh-in, I wanted to give him a sandwich. In fact, I wanted to give him 2 sandwiches. I mean, at 164.5, wasn't he DOA, dead on arrival?
But Steve, I've learned this. We used to weigh in at 8 in the morning,
right.
Day of the fight. Remember that, day of, when 15-round fights.
We'll get into this later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doctors are tough. I've talked to enough nutritionists. You need 4 to 6 hours to replenish. 4 to 6. What happens is guys start gorging. And if they weighed in 8 in the morning and they made weight, guys would start gorging, and so later they come in, be awake. But that doesn't help your body when you're put on 10, 15 pounds in one day. So now they weigh in the night before. Guys go, oh, I could eat all I want. And you're supposed to drink fluids. Food content should be the same you would eat if you were if you were weighed in on time or on target or not. It's liquid intake, and you do it in periods of time over a certain amount of hours. But these guys gorge. So for me, that should have no effect.
No, but Ray, not even if it's at an unnatural weight. I mean, when we're talking about guys making weight, we're talking about them at their proper weight classes.
Right.
Now, take a look at this. The last 5 fights post Sergio Martinez, I remember keeping track of it. The lowest Chavez had weighed was 167.5 and weighed as high as 172.5. So basically he was a super middleweight.
Correct.
Now at age 31, and there's 2 things at age 30 that I wouldn't do in sports. That is move fighters down in weight and sign running backs to long-term contracts in the NFL.
It's true.
Okay, now when you looked at Chavez, I just said to myself, his victory was making weight and not giving back money.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. And you're right. Obviously, you're right, because he didn't do anything after that. Even though he had the 24 hours to replenish, I don't get it. It was a non-effort. To me, when Nick said, I bought the fight. I was one of the dumb guys that got duped. I got duped and I bought the fight. So for me, I thought, well, we're going to get all-out war. We're going to get that Mexican war. We're going to get everything we want, because he's got pride. He got the name, and he's got, he has pride.
Yeah.
And the kid can fight. And that's one thing I say. He can fight when he's on, or when he's motivated, and he's got discipline. He can fight. So I thought, well, we're going to have it. He made weight. We're going to have it. When I saw what he did, I fell asleep about 10 times. My wife woke me up. That's how bad it was. I was so heartbroken. And not even was I disappointed. As a fighter, and as a fight fan, I was heartbroken. I know there's only a couple times in my life I've been heartbroken as a fight fan. That was one of them because he
Really?
did absolutely. He did nothing. I said, this kid, and his father's sitting there, and you could see trying to implore him, and his father's dying 1,000 deaths because he ain't doing anything.
So, Ray, were you impressed at all by Canelo? Because I do think he's an improved fighter. I think he's got a solid skill set as of right now.
Now, I told my son, because my son yells at me all the time, he says, you don't give Canelo enough credit. I said, no, I think Canelo's a hell of a fighter.
Okay.
He's a hell of a fighter. There's no dispute. I don't.
But, here comes the but.
No.
Here comes the but.
I don't see anything that's, when I say, there's certain things about him, you go, he's a terrific fighter, solid defense, good puncher, fundamentally sound. I don't see nothing extraordinary that you say, well, he stands out. Oh, man, he's a hell of a fighter, good puncher, all that. Youth, got all that. I think, look, he made, I think Chavez Jr. made it easy for him. There was no dispute about that. And he's beaten other guys, beat Cotto, but, Cotto was a small middleweight.
Yeah.
The last couple of fights, these guys he's fought,
Amir Khan, Liam Smith.
Come on. So everything, finally got the fight they wanted, but I think they got the paydays they wanted before they had to fight Triple G. Now they got to fight him. I think Triple G walks through him.
Wait, walks through him.
Walks through him. I think he's made to order for Triple G. Made to order.
Right, so let's go to March 18th. Danny Jacobs takes Gennady Golovkin the distance. First guy in like 24 fights to do so. Did you see any physical slippage from Gennady Golovkin, or do you think Jacobs is not given enough credit for fighting a hell of a fight?
Just what you said. Danny's not given enough credit. First of all, I think Danny beats Canelo. But Danny's actually a super middleweight. Right. He's not a middleweight, he's a super middleweight.
When you allow him to weigh him at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Now that's another issue. Now let's go to that before the fight itself. You are a stickler. This is one of your pet peeves. And if you were the commissioner of boxing, which I would endorse, by the way, you would say weigh-ins have to be at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. of the fight.
Day of the fight.
This one, because of logistical difficulties with the New York State Athletic Commission, this was a new one, was 9 a.m. the Friday before.
Well,
and why not just have them weigh in on Thursday?
Or the week before. Exactly same. It means nothing. That's the point. It means absolutely nothing. They contradict. They want rules and regulations, but yet they contradict it and they don't enforce it. It means nothing. 9 o'clock. The morning of the day before. It means absolutely nothing. Even if it was 9 o'clock that night, it means nothing. I used to tell Bob Arum, I said, Bob, why don't you weigh in the week before? He said, you still have it? Go, yeah, good point. Because it means nothing.
And then you had the IBF situation where Gennady Golovkin is the unified champion, so he has several belts. I think Danny Jacobs and his team found a loophole saying, wait a minute, if we bypass the next day weigh-in, there's still the WBC and there's still the IBF belt. They played a game there. Do you think that Golovkin, if he wants to keep all the belts, is at a competitive disadvantage where he knows the opponents will say, you know what, I'll give up one belt to win the other two. I don't have to do that mid-morning weigh-in.
Yeah, well, obviously he did. That's what I'm saying. He just showed. Look, for him, it was smart. As a fighter, hey, I understand now. I know how I was for the last year and a half of my career, how hard it was, especially the morning. When I lost my title to Bramble, they had me weighing on a digital scale. A calibrated scale, digital scale was like, I was 135 and 6 ounces.
Oh.
Lou Duva said, make him lose it, 6 ounces. I come back, I was 134, 4 ounces. I mean, like, basically, after the third time I come back, I was like half dead. He goes, all right, we'll let it go. I mean, I made 135, but if it was calibrated scale, it would have made it. So my point being is, I don't disregard I understand what Danny Jacobs said. Smart move. You want to win the fight. Everything else take care of itself. Don't worry about weight. Let me win the fight. Because if they said he beat Triple G, even if you say, yeah, but he was heavier, but I beat Triple G. People wouldn't worry about what the weight was. They would have said he beat Triple G.
Do you think that, I believe, Ray, no matter what you say till you're the commissioner of boxing, that we are stuck with the afternoon or day before weigh-in?
Oh, yeah. There's no dispute.
Would you at least say that maybe a compromise there should be a weigh-in the day of the fight? Or sort of a rehydration clause, if you will?
Well, if you could do the night, I remember when I fought Hector Camacho. They wanted the night before, we said the morning of. So what did we do? We came in compromise. We waited, I think it was like at 2 in the morning.
You got to be real.
It was ridiculous. Yeah, that was the compromise. He wanted the night before. I said, no, we said...
Weigh in after dark.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But see, first of all, let's go back. Weigh-ins the night before is not a medical decision, and it's not a boxing decision. It's a TV decision.
It is.
It's a TV decision. TV says if you're making weight the night before, you'll make it by morning up, but you will make weight. That's all it was. So they don't want them, the guys coming in and can't make weight, and all the publicity is goes by the wayside. So that's why it is. And if a guy's having a problem, all of a sudden, if they know he's having a problem, because promoters know a couple days before, they'll move it up. We'll make it at 9 in the morning. Because 9 at night, you'll make it. So that's the problem. It ain't going to change. It's going to be the morning before, the day before from now on. I have a hard time, at least if it was 15-round fights, I go, well, okay. Day before, 12-round fights. How much easier can you make it for these guys?
So, Ray, going back to your statement, you think that Jacobs has a certain athleticism, natural size, and length that Canelo doesn't?
Correct.
So that's a whole different equation for Gennady Golovkin.
Danny can fight, and he fought a heck of a fight. And I think going toe-to-toe with him would have been a mistake, and I think he realized that. But Danny, and he got dropped early on, he got up, but he boxed him, and he was looking good. And even I was tweeting saying, hey, Danny Jacobs, I wouldn't be. When I saw it, immediately after the fight, I said, if Danny would have got the decision, I wouldn't have been upset, But then I saw the rematch, and I realized,
the replay,
even though they were close rounds, McLaughlin was winning each round. So even though it was close rounds, the fight, the spirituality
you thought it was close but clear.
Clear, exactly. Okay. So, yes, movement is the best way to fight. You got to get movement. Even guys like Dominic Wade and Jesse, the Cyclone, Jesse Hart.
Oh, Jesse Hart.
When they fought him, movement. That's what kept them in it.
Oh, you mean Willie Monroe?
Willie Monroe. I'm sorry. Willie Monroe. Correct. When they fought Golovkin, they moved. Dominic Wade could fight. And if he fought some other guys, you'd say, hey, this guy's a heck of a fighter. But Golovkin blew him out one round. What, two rounds, whatever. Yeah. So same thing with Jesse, Willie Monroe. Yeah. I'm sorry. People would say, this kid can fight. But Golovkin made him look like amateurs. But if they fought the other guys, oh, this kid can really fight. Because movement, they tried movement. But Golovkin is the best at cutting off the ring. He knows how to do it. And he does it better than anybody right now. And what I like about Golovkin, besides his game, his balance, to me, is that he, right now, his confidence level is so sky high. It says he doesn't believe anybody can beat him. And I think that's the key. When he goes in there, Canelo is not going to get movement. He's going to be right in front of him. Yeah. You're going to go toe-to-toe. You're going to go, the firepower with a cannon. I don't know. You may have a machine gun, but going with a cannon, I don't know. I just think, hey, Canelo got backed into it. He agreed to it. I admire that. He's a heck of a fighter, man. I just think he's going to be outgunned by this guy.
Ray Mancini joins us right now here at the studios of UCN Live and TV4. Steve Kim, we're talking boxing in the Boom Boom Room. Ray, I really loved or enjoyed the Klitschko Joshua fight a couple of weeks ago. Joshua wins in 11 rounds. I don't want to be Mr. Buzzkill. I don't want to be that guy that tells the kids to get off their lawn. But when I hear all-time great heavyweight fight, I think, again, let's not be prisoner of the moment. By today's standards, it was a very good heavyweight battle. But let's keep this in mind. This was not the Thriller in Manila. Do you agree or disagree?
First, I want to say you are a champion linguistic.
Thank you. That's why I get paid the big bucks.
Yes. I love it. Let's not get caught up. You said
prisoner of the moment.
Prisoner of the moment. Yeah. I love that line. Prisoner of the moment.
I didn't make it up.
No, that's a great line. No, I agree with you 100%. It's the heavyweight division is so drab and dreary for so long. Finally had a fight that actually meant something and lived up to some type of hype.
Exceeded expectations.
Exceeded expectations. Perfect. Because I don't think there was a whole lot. So didn't have to live up to a whole lot. But it did. And, in losing, Klitschko gained more fans and more admiration by losing than by any of his other wins. And Joshua shows that he's a young blood, willing to fight anybody, and he can fight a little bit. Yeah. We'll see. It makes it exciting. To see Fury and Joshua fight would be, I'd pay to go to the press conference. Yeah. Now, obviously, I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen at all. But that's what type of thing you want. You want guys who at least could talk, but go in and put on a show.
Ray, I judge heavyweight fights a little bit differently. If you go back to the days of the 70s and even the mid-90s, heavyweights were about 6'1" to about 6'3" They were all about 220 to 235 Now they're 6'6", 250. So I don't think that they're physically able to fight at a fast pace. Would you agree with that you can't judge the heavyweights of today like we did, let's say, 20 years ago?
No dispute. No, you're absolutely right. The physicality is so much bigger. Right. They can't fight at that pace. It's a good point. And a lot of times, since they don't have to make weight, these guys are, what's your good best weight? 235 to 240. He comes in at 260. I thought it was going to give me more strength. No, it made you look like the Pillsbury Doughboy. Yeah. You just, even Larry Holmes. And I love Larry, one of the greatest, 5 greatest heavyweights of all time. Never built like body, beautiful.
Yeah.
But my man was in shape, always in shape, because and he could burn for 15.
Ray, at age 41, can Klitschko replicate that performance, or do you think that was the last one he had in his back pocket?
I think he drained the well. I think he drained the well. And why? At 40 men, why would you want a big guy smacking you in the head? He's a businessman. He's made more money he's made enough money for 10 lifetimes. Why? Why would you continue to fight? You got a beautiful wife, you got a beautiful baby. Go live your life, man. Be a smart businessman that you are.
You know what it reminds me of? It's like that old car that you love. Let's say your first Corolla, right? And it's like 15 years old and has about 200,000 miles on it. And you take that one last road trip with the fellas to Las Vegas. Then you take it back home, and then just as you drive in, the engine blows out, and you said, Betsy, it's your last ride.
Yeah.
That's the sense that I get with Klitschko. That's the last he really had. It was a valiant performance.
Yes.
And I think you have to leave well enough alone.
I agree with you. Sometimes you go out on your show, you win more by losing. Sometimes when you're a loser, you're the winner.
Yeah.
In this case, he was. I think he's a winner. Even though in his loss, he was a winner, and that's the way to go out.
Ray, I loved your Twitter timeline on the morning and night of March 4th and March 5th at Real Boom Boom. You were not a real fan of what took place between Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia. I mean, listen, that fight was built up, ironically, by Ray Leonard himself as Ray Leonard, Tommy Hearns. I mean, listen, again, I don't want to be the guy that said back when I grew up, I was running 5 miles in the snow to catch the school bus. But, but honestly, that's really the best we have. I mean, if that's considered great, we have really lowered the standards, have we not?
Man, that's for sure. Look, again, that's a fight where one guy was scared, the other was glad of it. I mean, they did nothing. Danny Garcia did nothing. Keith Thurman can punch. He'll fight. He can punch. Makes it exciting. Because you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you can't be throwing roundhouses from from the third row.
Telegraphing him.
Yeah, and Danny Garcia was just catching, trying to block, get out of the way. I mean, he didn't do nothing. He didn't want to fight. I don't know, man. It's just look. The heavyweight boxing in general. It's so disappointing anymore. I mean, there's still more fights on TV. Well, they did, and guess what? And they got pretty good ratings for a lot of those early fights. And people still watch because they're fight fans. I'm a fight fan. I'll watch, but the fights are so disappointing, and it's just you chase people.
Ray,
away.
I have a theory, specifically with Thurman and Garcia. Thurman last year only fought once, and he's still 27, so there's no skill development.
No.
Danny Garcia is like a lot of other PBC fighters. He doesn't fight that often either. So when these guys are not active, they're not in sync, they don't have a rhythm, I think it shows in the fights. Do you think in general, do fighters of today not fight enough?
Don't say it. Fighters got to fight.
Yeah.
That's it. Of course they don't fight enough. There's no dispute. But that's when I tweeted too. That they allowed El Heyman to pay them to sit on the sidelines.
Yeah.
Now, they're making a lot of money. But in 5 years from now, they ain't going to be able to get a cup of coffee next door. Because nobody's going to know who they are. Yeah. So as far as relevance in the game, or relevance in historical significance to the boxing, they have none.
Okay.
But if you say, I don't care about historical significance, I want to make my money. Okay, you're doing that. But then nobody going to know who you are. I'd like to have some people know who I am.
Let's go back 25, 30 years to a young Ray Mancini, and if I'm your manager or promoter, or I'm Bob Arum, my Bob Arum, hey Ray, you got 2 choices. You can fight once a year for $3 million, or you want 4 fights where you make $4 million. What do you take?
I'd take the 4 fights.
Really? You would?
Steve, I did that. I fought 4 times a year. One thing I'm proud of, and I'm not trying to, I was a champion for 2 years. May 8th of 82 to June 1st of 84. I had 7 fights in 24 months.
Jeez.
Obviously, I should have won because I wanted to fight. My style of fighting was not made for a long career.
Right.
I understood that. I sacrificed longevity to make my score. Plus, when you have a fan-friendly style, you want to keep fighting. As long as I was healthy, I wanted to keep fighting and make my money because I knew I was looking to get out. Eventually, my style was not made for a long career. But at some point, I'm very proud that people remember my fights from 30-something years ago, and they don't remember these guys from a week ago.
Yeah, Ray, one of the arguments I have with people on Twitter is when people say, yeah, but the fighters then, they were so active, they fought a lot. These guys are now more preserved. And I argue, you know what, when I see guys, and I interview them all the time, they fight once or twice a year, and they say, oh, but Steve, we made it up with 180 rounds of sparring in camp. I think that's worse. I think that's worse.
No, you don't make it. For 15 rounds, and I keep stipulating 15. It's like I heard one guy, I don't know if it was Danny Jacobs, say they were supposed to talking about fighting Golovkin in February, last December, I'm sorry. And they said, 8 to 10 weeks wasn't enough time.
What?
And I said, for a title, for 15, I'd go 5 weeks. 5
Really?
to 6, no more than 6. Yeah. I mean, and I'd spar between 90 to 110 rounds. That's it. I mean, but it was constant. We didn't go every other day like they do now. I'd go 2-3 days, break a day, come 2-3 days. 10 days before the fight, I go a gym fight, all 15 rounds, all 4 sparring partners, not 2, 4. And they come in one at a time, 2 rounds here, 1 round here, give me everything they got.
Yeah.
And Griffith said, my trainer, Murphy Griffith said, take them out. So I had a gym fight and a real fight. So 10 days out. When I finished that day, I was ready.
You were ready.
Now, there's 2 phases of getting ready for a fight. Conditioning and sharpening.
Yeah.
Now the sharpening phase. Now you back off on the road work, you back off on the sparring, you still spar, but light movement. I always had a guy for movement, lighter guy for movement.
Yeah.
Some of my sparring partners want to be world champion. Stevie Cruz will spar me for a fight. Louis Espinoza want to be in the featherweight champ. I had guys that were real fighters, man, and it worked with me. And these guys would give me speed work. But at that time, I could catch up to them.
Yeah.
Early in the fight, early when we started sparring, they'd be too quick for me. By now, we knew I was ready. So you do more for speed, sharpening, less for heavy, cut back on road work, do sprint work, things like that. Those are real trainers who know how to get a guy peak at the right time.
I remember Emmanuel Stewart once saying, Steve, I don't understand modern day boxing. He always thought 8 weeks was too long. He said, I wanted 6 weeks. He said mentally, guys got bored of being in training camps or at the gym. So
then you hear about guys breaking camp. Why? When you're in camp, just what Manny said, when you're in camp for 8 to 10 weeks, it's like an animal smelling blood, smell a shark smelling blood or animal smelling meat. You got to go out. I got to get out of here. No, man. 6 weeks was perfect.
Ray, June 17th is the rematch between Sergey Kovalev and Andre Ward. What were your thoughts on the first fight back in November?
I thought Kovalev won the fight. I don't think there was a dispute about that. I thought he surely, because even though Andre came on, showed a lot of heart and outboxed him a lot of rounds, it was basically with the jab. But Kovalev was matching him jab for jab. He didn't do anything that was spectacular. So I thought, the rounds were close, but I thought Kovalev certainly won the fight by at least 4 rounds.
But it's interesting. You were saying off the air, you think the tables turn in the rematch?
Oh, absolutely.
Really?
Andre's one of these guys. He could figure it out. Andre figures guys out. He's one of these fighters they figure out during the fight. He's one of them guys who could do that. I think he beats Kovalev easier this time.
Tactical fight?
Tactical fight. He's not getting ambitious all one night, but it'll be a tactical fight. He beats him. He beats him easier.
Ray, a couple of weeks ago, April 8th, I was in Oxon Hill, Maryland. Jason Sosa was the latest victim of another virtuoso performance from Vasyl Lomachenko. I don't really take these pound-for-pound lists seriously, but I do know who's the best in the world. There's about 5 or 6 guys that really stand out. Right. I think Lomachenko is one of those guys. Can a guy 8-1 be one of the best fighters in the world?
But there's no dispute. I mean, how could a guy 8-1 fought for 2 world titles?
Yeah. So you like him? You can just eye test. You say, wow.
I mean, you see him. He had an extensive amateur career. He was a pro as an amateur. You know what I mean? And what he can do is incredible. There's nobody could do what he does. And you said there's about 4 or 5 top pound for pound guys. And he's certainly one of them. And they're talking about him fighting, and he wants these fights. Supposedly he wants these fights. He says he wants. There's some great matchups that could come up. Him and Mikey Garcia be a heck of a matchup. They're talking about him and Bud Crawford, Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford's he's a headache, man.
Might be too big.
Too big and too strong.
Terrence
Crawford could fight, man.
I think the rematch with Salido's going to happen. I think there's a storyline, but I think he's too young and fresh for Salido. But I think he wants that scalp. Gervonta Davis is a good young fighter. There's Jorge Linares, who I think is a real stylist.
Good fighter.
So you're right. I think this is going to be a guy that he might set a record years from now, Ray. He might be in the Hall of Fame with like 18 fights. I mean, just think about it.
Because look at who did he fight? Exactly. He's a heck of a fighter. He's one of them guys. He's not going to be really take any beatings ever, so he can go for a long time. But for me, it's like he had such an extensive amateur career. How much fight does he have left in him? That's all, because your body only has so many fights in it.
Yeah.
So he had extensive amateur, so your pro career is going to be shorter, but to what extent? I don't know. But he's terrific. He is special.
Ray, I've been dying to ask you this question and cringing at the same time. I feel as though I have to do it because you're a dyed-in-the-wool boxing guy. Do you have any interest in Floyd Mayweather against Conor McGregor?
Oh, my God. The fact that you even brought it up shows that there is some interest. it's not even a non-question. Here's the response. You ask the most boxing guys, they go. And then if you ask MMA guys, oh yeah, we can't wait to see. I mean, MMA guys was it because it means. I mean, that's for them. It means everything. Floyd Mayweather, there's no interest. Absolutely none. Only interest is by MMA guys. Boxing guys laugh at a joke. It's a joke. You can't even take it serious. Conor McGregor is great at what he does.
Right.
This ain't what he does.
Yeah.
But the fact they say that he could box, I've seen the tapes. It's gone on YouTube and stuff. If him in the gym, ordinary guys are smacking him around in the gym. It's just they're trying to build up, and of course Dana White's over there trying to, Floyd's a small guy, he's a shrimp, things like that. I hope Floyd doesn't play into it. I hope Floyd doesn't bite. I mean, Floyd,
really?
I really hope, man, he doesn't
With
bite
that payday on the line, you don't think a guy
How much money does he need? Because I'm gonna tell you what.
Well,
let me tell you.
How much money does he need?
Here's the point. I would say
a lot.
How much money is it to buy? How much money is there to buy your self-respect? That's how I always said.
You're talking about Floyd.
Well,
Floyd reminds me of that old line from, I'd love to say this, from Patrick Ewing. Remember during the '99 NBA lockout, and they said, "Boy, you guys make a lot of money. How are you guys why do you need the money so much now?" And Patrick Ewing said, "Well, we make a lot of money, but we spend a lot of money." I mean, there's a lifestyle to adhere to. He is a narcissist. He misses the attention. He misses the spot. I guarantee you, when he saw Golovkin walk into the ring on Saturday night, there's a part of him that says, "Wait a minute, they took my date. That's the biggest fight in boxing. Boxing's moving on without me." That probably hurt his ego. And this fight probably could overshadow it because of the circus nature of it.
It is a circus. That's exactly right.
Are you, as someone who's still good with his hands, I've always said fighters are fighters to the day they die. They could still beat up people in the bar. Are you insulted when other athletes think that boxing is something they can do easily?
I'm not insulted so much as because everyone thinks it's just throwing punches. It's just like I'm sure MMA guys are insulting. The guys say, "Oh, they're doing is wrestling on the ground." No, that's a little more than that too. Because I've
it's
trained.
A science. That's a science.
I've trained Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and people always say, "Who's gonna win?" I said, "It's the simplest thing. You've heard it over and over. If I catch these guys on chin,
it's over.
It's over.
They get you on the ground.
If you miss and they wrap me up, it's over. Right. That's why I studied Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I trained for so long because I don't want no 18-year-old kid choking me out in the street.
Let's go back to your past. Your trainer, Murphy Griffin, didn't he train Too Tall Jones?
Yeah.
And what was that like?
Too Tall was my stablemate.
Yeah.
I was together with him. We started together.
Did he get a new respect for boxing after doing it?
Absolutely. And I got to people admitted it was a circus, and I'm telling you, I was there with Too Tall every day. We got up and did road work together in Central Park. He tried. He trained as hard as you can. But let me tell you something. Ed is a special athlete, and obviously he didn't have the physical agility.
Yeah.
Right. It was a little bit too stiff, but strong. When he legitimately hit some. He was fighting guys that were like, if he was in the Olympics, guys that come out of the Olympics would be fighting those type of heavyweights. Trust me, he beat some good fighters. Not world beaters, but good fighters. But Ed was learning along the way. But everyone expected, it was a travel circus, but. It got me people paid attention to me. I remember when you were at Too Tall Jones in Phoenix or with Dallas, But I love Ed. But he was smart enough to say, you know what? He had bad hands. He walked away, but he became all-pro. After that, he went back and became an all-pro. It just goes to show you how special an athlete
was.
How about
this idea from McGregor, Mayweather? They've tried this in other. How about doing like a combat decathlon? 1 round boxing, 1 round jiu-jitsu, 1 round thumb wrestling.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Even up the playing field.
1 round kickboxing.
Yeah.
Muay Thai. Sambo.
Let's see who could really fight.
I'm gonna tell you, there's no interest of any kind from anybody I know. From anybody in the boxing world, there is none.
So you think it's the modern day Ali Inoki?
Absolutely. And then we know where the first step became. And Ali suffered years later because all the kicks and legs. His legs were bad for years. So it is. And the fact that Floyd said, well, I'm only a boxer, I'm not going to be rolling on the ground.
Yeah.
And then McGregor said, well, I'll box. And they try to sell that he could fight. Come on, man. Stop. Nobody's interested. MMA guys are interested. Not boxing people. But it's the freak show mentality. It's the car wreck mentality. You can't help. You don't want to watch, but you can't help but watch.
Ray, I've never asked you this. I didn't know you trained jiu-jitsu. You obviously have a respect for all combat athletes.
Absolutely.
Do you watch UFC?
Occasionally,
you
because
do.
I know Frank Edgar is my favorite guy.
Oh, okay.
I love Frankie Edgar. And Frankie trained boxing, and and he trained boxing legitimately. And just certain guys. I met him, and we became friends. I met Hoist Gracie and guys like they're special fighters, special good guys.
Yeah.
All Bruce Lee Jiu-Jitsu guys. I love these guys. They're great guys, and they have a lot of respect for fighting. That's one thing. They have a lot of respect. Here's what I love about Jiu-Jitsu, and I'm gonna bore you with it. Here's the bottom line. I love the philosophy. The philosophy is, Ray, you don't got to win every fight. Just don't lose it.
Yeah.
And I love that. Meaning, at this point in my age, look, I ain't got to win it. If I can control you, if I can neutralize you, it's like, hey man, why don't you go your way, let me go my way. Good luck to you, good luck to me. That's a victory for them. You ain't got to win every fight. Just don't lose it. That's what it is. Just a chance for the street to maintain and walk away with dignity.
Ray, final question. I thought last year was a very, very, let's say, tepid year for the sport.
Yeah, very mediocre.
Do you like the way boxing is going in 2017? Do you like the fights being made? Do you like what's coming up? Do you like what's happening?
Well, I like where it's going so far, yes. And we said, a couple years ago when Al Heyman came in, we said, we'll know in a year from now if he's the smartest guy in the room or the dumbest guy in the room. He ain't looking that smart. And I tell you, so what he did, now, he gave away Bounce TV, gave away Bounce. I know there was a Bounce TV. I'll just show you. So these small places he bought up don't mean nothing. I think the fighters are suffering from it. Like I said, they're not learning their craft. Can't get any better. Nobody's gonna know their name. Nobody knows. But they'll pay to sit. Well, take care of your family. As a fighter, as a man, I understand. You take the pay to take care of your family. As a fighter, I don't. Because as a fighter, you want to be the best. You want to challenge greatness. To be great, you got to challenge greatness. The only way you challenge greatness is by fighting. So, but I understand it's a dichotomy. As a man, you take care of your family. I admire that. As a fighter, people ain't gonna know your name in 10 minutes. So.
All right, well, Ray, great to have you back in town.
Here, Steve.
Every time you're in town, we come back to the Boom Boom Room.
So, man. Maybe we'll get you guys to come to Youngstown sometime.
Oh, one day.
I don't think so.
Well, I may not be in the budget. I'd love to see Youngstown.
You got to come to Youngstown. It's only city of our size to have 5 world champions there.
Yeah.
That's right, man. We got a little.
The fighting town of Youngstown. This is the quintessential Youngstown fight. All right, well, this is Steve Kim on behalf of Ray Mancini on UCN Live. Till the next round, goodbye, everybody.